More than 4,000 years ago, a remarkable city rose along the fertile plains of the Indus Valley. Its streets were carefully planned. Its buildings were built from standardized bricks. Its people created one of the most advanced urban centers of the ancient world. Today we know this city as Mohenjo-Daro. At its height, thousands of people lived within its walls. It had sophisticated drainage systems, organized neighborhoods, and infrastructure that was centuries ahead of many other civilizations of its time. Yet despite all of its achievements, something happened. The city was eventually abandoned. Its people disappeared. And the reasons why remain one of archaeology's greatest mysteries. For decades, researchers searched for answers. Some believe the city was destroyed by invaders. Others blame floods, climate change, or environmental disaster. And many archaeologists now think the truth may be far more complicated than anyone first imagined. So what really happened to Mohenjo-Daro? And why was one of the world's earliest great cities left behind? Tonight we investigate one of the most fascinating mysteries of the ancient world. Part 1, the city ahead of its time. To understand the mystery of Mohenjo-Daro, we must first understand why the city was so extraordinary. When archaeologists began excavating the site in the early 20th century, they expected to find the remains of an ancient settlement. What they discovered was something far more impressive. Beneath centuries of dust and earth lay the remains of a carefully planned city, unlike almost anything else from its time. Mohenjo-Daro was part of the Indus Valley Civilization, one of the great civilizations of the ancient world alongside Egypt and Mesopotamia. At its peak, the city may have been home to tens of thousands of people. Wide streets divided neighborhoods into organized blocks. Many houses were built using standardized baked bricks, suggesting a remarkable level of planning and coordination. Perhaps even more surprising was the city's drainage system. Homes were connected to covered drains that carried wastewater away from living areas. Some houses even appear to have had private bathing spaces. For a city that flourished more than 4,000 years ago, these innovations were extraordinary. At the center of the city stood one of its most famous structures, the Great Bath. This large brick-lined pool remains one of the most iconic features of Mohenjo-Daro. Archaeologists still debate exactly how it was used. Some believe it played an important role in religious ceremonies or community gatherings. Others argue it may have served multiple purposes throughout the city's history. Yet despite decades of excavation, many questions remain unanswered. We still cannot read the script used by the people of the Indus Valley. Their language remains undeciphered, without written records that we can understand. Much of their world remains hidden from us. We know they traded with distant regions. We know they built impressive cities. We know they developed a sophisticated society. But we do not know exactly how they governed themselves, what stories they told, or how they viewed the world around them. Then sometime around 1900 BC, things began to change. The city that had once thrived for centuries slowly entered a period of decline. And this is where the mystery truly begins. Part 2, the Disappearance. For many years, people believed that Mohenjo-Daro met a sudden and dramatic end. It was an appealing story. A great city, thriving for centuries, destroyed by a single catastrophe. But as archaeologists continued to study the evidence, that explanation became increasingly difficult to support. Unlike cities that were clearly destroyed by war or natural disaster, Mohenjo-Daro does not appear to show signs of one catastrophic event that ended everything at once. There is no single layer of destruction spread across the entire city. No evidence of a massive fire consuming every neighborhood. no clear indication that the population vanished overnight. Instead, the archaeological record suggests something more gradual. Over time, parts of the city appear to have been rebuilt multiple times. Some buildings were repaired, others were abandoned. The city adapted to changing conditions, but eventually those challenges may have become too great. One clue comes from the surrounding environment. Mohenjo-Daro was built near the Indus River, a source of life that provided water, transportation, and fertile land. Yet rivers can also be unpredictable. Evidence suggests that the region experienced repeated flooding over long periods of time. In some areas, archaeologists have found signs that new structures were built on top of older flood deposits. This indicates that the people of Mohenjo-Daro may have been fighting against nature for generations. At the same time, broader changes were occurring across the Indus Valley Civilization. Other cities also began to decline. Trade networks weakened, urban population shrank, some settlements were abandoned altogether. Whatever was happening was not affecting Mohenjo-Daro alone. It was part of a much larger transformation. And because we still cannot read the writing of the Indus people, we have no surviving records to explain what they experienced. No king left behind an account. No historian described the city's final years. No inscription tells us why people chose to leave. All we have are fragments of evidence buried beneath the soil. And those fragments have led researchers to propose several competing theories. The first and most famous theory was once considered the answer to the mystery: an invasion. Part 3, the invasion. Theory for decades. One theory dominated discussions about the fall of Mohenjo-Daro. According to this idea, the city was destroyed by invading groups who entered the region and brought an end to the Indus Valley Civilization. The theory gained popularity in the early 20th century when archaeologists discovered several human skeletons scattered throughout parts of the city. To some researchers, the explanation seemed obvious. The people had been attacked, the city had fallen, and the skeletons were believed to be the victims of a violent massacre. For many years, this interpretation appeared in books, documentaries, and history lessons around the world. The mystery seemed solved. But there was a problem. As archaeological methods improved and new evidence emerged, many researchers began questioning whether the skeletons actually supported the invasion theory at all. The remains were found in different locations and did not all belong to the same period in time. Some individuals may have died decades apart from one another. Others showed no clear signs of violent injuries. Instead of representing a single catastrophic event, the skeletons appeared to tell a far more complicated story. Modern archaeologists now argue that there is little convincing evidence for a massive invasion that suddenly destroyed Mohenjo-Daro. No large-scale battle damage has been discovered across the city. No widespread destruction layer points to a violent conquest, and no clear archaeological evidence confirms the existence of a final massacre. This does not mean that conflict never occurred. Ancient societies were no strangers to violence. But the idea that invading armies swept through the city and ended the civilization in a single dramatic event is no longer accepted by many scholars. In fact, some researchers consider the famous massacre theory to be one of archaeology's most enduring misconceptions. If invaders did not destroy Mohenjo-Daro, then what did? The answer may lie not with armies, but with the environment itself: floods, changing rivers, and a climate that may have been transforming the region for generations. Part 4. Floods, climate, and collapse today. Many researchers believe that the decline of Mohenjo-Daro may have been caused by a combination of environmental challenges rather than a single dramatic disaster. One of the strongest theories involves flooding. The city was built near the Indus River, which provided water, fertile soil, and access to trade routes. But the same river that helped the city flourish may also have become one of its greatest threats. Archaeological evidence suggests that Mohenjo-Daro experienced repeated floods throughout its history. In some parts of the city, layers of sediment indicate that floodwaters entered the settlement multiple times over the centuries. Each time, the people rebuilt, streets were repaired, buildings were reconstructed, life continued, but rebuilding a city again and again requires enormous effort. Over time, these challenges may have become increasingly difficult to overcome. At the same time, the climate itself appears to have been changing. Many scientists believe that shifts in regional weather patterns may have weakened the monsoon rains that supported agriculture across the Indus Valley. Less predictable rainfall could have reduced crop yields and placed growing pressure on local communities. A civilization that depended on farming and trade would have felt these effects deeply. There is also evidence that river systems across the region may have changed course over time. A river that once supported a thriving city could gradually move away, leaving settlements without easy access to water and transportation. For a city like Mohenjo-Daro, such changes could have had devastating consequences. Trade networks may have weakened, food production may have declined, people may have begun moving elsewhere in search of better opportunities. This leads many archaeologists to a conclusion very different from the dramatic stories often told in the past. Perhaps Mohenjo-Daro was not destroyed. Perhaps it was slowly abandoned, not over a single night, not during a single battle, but over generations. Families leaving one by one, neighborhoods growing quieter, buildings gradually falling into disrepair, until eventually one of the world's greatest cities was left behind. Yet despite decades of research, no single theory answers every question. And that is why the mystery remains unsolved. Part 5. The mystery lives on. More than a century has passed since archaeologists first uncovered the ruins of Mohenjo-Daro, yet many of its greatest secrets remain hidden. Unlike Egypt, where hieroglyphs help us understand ancient beliefs and rulers, the people of the Indus Valley left behind a writing system that has never been fully deciphered. Hundreds of symbols have been discovered on seals, pottery, and artifacts. But to this day, nobody knows exactly what they say. This means that one of the world's first great urban civilizations remains largely silent. We can study its buildings, we can examine its tools, we can analyze its streets and monuments, but we cannot read its stories. We do not know the names of its kings. We do not know the details of its religion. And we do not know how the people themselves explained the challenges they faced. Every new discovery answers one question and raises several more. Was the city's decline caused primarily by floods? Did climate change gradually weaken the civilization? Did changing rivers force people to abandon their homes? Or was it a combination of many different factors working together over centuries? At present, no single explanation satisfies every piece of evidence, and perhaps that is what makes Mohenjo-Daro so fascinating. The mystery is not simply about how a city disappeared. It is about how an advanced civilization flourished thousands of years ago, developed remarkable innovations, and then slowly faded from history while leaving behind so few answers. Even today, archaeologists continue to investigate the site, searching for clues buried beneath the earth. And with every excavation, the possibility remains that a new discovery could completely change our understanding of this ancient city. Until then, Mohenjo-Daro remains one of the most intriguing unsolved mysteries of the ancient world. The ruins of Mohenjo-Daro have survived for more than 4,000 years. Its streets, walls, and monuments continue to tell the story of a civilization that was far more advanced than many once imagined. Yet despite everything we have learned, the city's final chapter remains incomplete. We know that people lived here. We know they built one of the ancient world's most remarkable urban centers. And we know that for reasons still debated today, they eventually left it behind. Perhaps the answer lies in floods, perhaps in climate change, perhaps in shifting rivers, economic decline, or a combination of challenges that unfolded over generations. The truth is that we may never know for certain, and that uncertainty is what keeps the mystery alive. Thank you for joining us on this journey into one of history's greatest archaeological puzzles. If you enjoyed this exploration of ancient mysteries, be sure to subscribe to History After Dark YT for more stories, discoveries, and unanswered questions from the ancient world. Until next time, keep wondering.